Hello, my friends. Welcome back. It's been a week or two, hasn't it? I've been very busy with work with the new year and all that kind of thing, trying to get paintings ready for Christmas. So, look, I'm going to do a very kind of a quick tutorial. No painting, just materials, brushes, canvases, equipment, all of that kind of stuff. I just would like to give a quick run over all of the things that I use and how I use them. So I got a couple of questions about various subjects in painting, mainly to do with all the equipment and how I use my stuff, what stuff I use, thinners, canvases, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you a quick run over of my setup, maybe show you the studio, my lighting, that kind of thing. First of all, paints. There's lots of different types of oil paints you can use. Lots of very good quality oil paints out there on the market. Gamblin, Rembrandts, they're all very, very good quality. I prefer to use Georgian. Georgian is from Doyler and Roney. You see that? They're very, very good paints. They have a very thick, nice thick feel to them. They don't lose their luminosity and their vibrancy when they're mixed and thinned out. I did use kind of the smaller tubes before. I do use some colours in the small tubes. For instance, if I'm using phaylo blue, that's such a rich colour. I really only need a small one. A small one would last me for months, months and months. The more popular colours, I just get a bigger tube, okay? That's the difference. Just double the price, but it goes a long way. I would use these tubes, they would last me maybe almost 12 months, I would say. Depending on how much paint you use. I know a lot of people like to put huge amounts of paint on their palette, lots of big thick blobs of paint, but for me that's just waste because the film goes over the oil paint, it goes hard. You can't really use it unless you're using it the very next day. So it's a lot of waste. I only put out the amount I need, really, that's all. I use timber palettes. Nice messy palette for you there, look. Lovely and messy. I love using these palettes. They've a lovely feel to them. It just has a more natural kind of a feeling rather than plastic palettes. I just like the feeling it gives. Now, every couple of months, I would give this a really good scrape with a very sharp scraper or something like that, just to get right back to the wood. Because after a couple of weeks or months, you're building up lots of thick clumps of paint all over the palette. But a quick scrape with some kind of a scraper, really, and it's good to go again, really. For tutorials, I like to use paper palettes. Now, you can use these just for regular painting as well. They're fantastic. Tearaway palettes, okay? There's like 20, 30 sheets in this. You just paint your painting, especially if you're out and about, if you're painting plein air. You just paint your painting, tear it off and discard it, okay? Very, very handy. I use these for my tutorials only because I need a white background for you to see me mixing. If I was using this for my tutorials, I think you'd agree it would be very, very difficult to see the colours being mixed because there's just so much colour on there. So I use the white palette just for my tutorials, as you can see here behind me. Canvases. Right. This is a touchy subject because I know a lot of people will swear by getting a really good expensive canvas, and I do on occasions like to buy a really good quality cotton or linen canvas, a properly stretched canvas. They're beautiful to work on. They're nicely primed, but for the most part, I find these regular cheap canvases are absolutely fine, okay? You could pick these up for €5 or €6 or dollars in a discount store. They're absolutely fine. I would prime these canvases when I'm using them. For smaller paintings, there's no need really. They're absolutely fine. I just think certain canvases are slightly overrated. Okay, the more expensive canvases may have a heavier cotton or a heavier canvas on them. But I mean, for small paintings and for practice, these are absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I've used these since I started painting 20 something years ago, maybe 30 years ago. Um, I've never ever had a problem with a cheaper canvas, ever. I would just prime this, maybe give it 1 coat of primer. What I use for my primer, you could use gesso, okay, a regular gesso, give it 1 coat of gesso. That's fine. I just find gesso is very overpriced, especially where I am here in Ireland. It's very, very overpriced. So for a small tub of gesso, I'm paying probably €20 for a small tub, and that would only last me maybe 2 weeks. So it does add up, especially when you're trying to, paint on a budget and that kind of stuff. So what I would do is, I tried this a couple of years back, and I found the results were just brilliant. So it's a tub of normal, cheap household undercoat, okay? You would use this for undercoating doors and windows and skirting boards and architraves, handrails, all that kind of stuff for wood. Exterior, interior, wood and metal, primer, undercoat. I would get a small tin of this. It's only about €6 or €7 a tin. And what I would do is I'd take half of this out, put it into a different tin, and I would then top it up with turpentine. Okay, give it a good mix. It's nice and thin. It's like a thin cream. So I'm then getting 2 tins of this for about €6, and that would last me well over 12 months. Priming canvases maybe twice a week, okay? Even large canvases. So it's perfectly fine because it's oil-based. You can use water-based as well if you like. But I find the oil-based undercoat, thinned out with turpentine, it does a fantastic job. And it gives a beautiful base on the canvas. It makes it lovely and smooth to work on. That's basically what I do when I'm painting my paintings and my tutorials. 1 coat, maybe 2 if it's a big canvas, but it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's far cheaper than using gesso. Now, a lot of people would say, okay, just make your own gesso. I've done that, and it's fine. White acrylic paint, some water, and a little PVA glue. That's absolutely fine as well. But there's a slight difference in the texture when you're painting. The soakage on the canvas is slightly different. I prefer the oil-based primer. It just retains the dampness and the wetness of the oil paint on your canvas for blending, especially. You don't get very many dry spots on the canvas if you give it a good prime with that. So I think that's absolutely fine. My thinners, a lot of confusion around thinners. A lot of people will say, you can buy these little mediums and, all these different types of thinners and additives. To be honest, I stay away from all those little additives, those little gels that you buy and all that kind of thing. If you're really a professional artist and you're doing high quality work and big commissions and stuff like that, then okay, you can use that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm painting 30 years and I've never ever used a medium. I've used them once or twice to try them, but I wouldn't use them in painting because I find for the beginner and the amateur, it's far too confusing. Okay, I just find it far too confusing. I'm a more traditional kind of an oil painter in the sense that I just like to use my basic equipment. So what I would use is turpentine, okay? Artist quality turpentine. You can use this on its own, just as a thinner. Thin out your paints, paint your painting, lovely, job done. But what I've started doing about 12 months ago, maybe longer, is adding a little touch of linseed oil into the turpentine, all right? So maybe 80% turpentine, 20% linseed oil. All that does really is it just gives it a slightly more oily kind of a feel, and it keeps the canvas wetter for longer, and it gives a beautiful oily feeling when you're painting from mixing colours. They just kind of slide and they move around just nicely on the canvas, not too much or not too little. So that's what I would do. If I was painting as well, I may give my canvas a very light rub with some linseed oil on its own, just with a bit of rag or a bit of tissue or something. If I was painting a big sky, for instance, on a big canvas, I would give the sky a light coat of linseed oil. And basically, it's probably similar to a liquid clear kind of a additive. it just gives the canvas just a nice oily feel. That's all. You can kind of move your colours along nicely on the canvas if it's just a light coat of linseed oil. You don't have to. Most of the time I don't, if it's primed nicely on the canvas already. But sometimes I like to try it, especially for sunsets now and cloudy skies, that kind of thing. The linseed oil does help, it really does. So that's the thinners, really. Simple, just keep it simple. I find people get bogged down too much with this additive or that additive, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think it just makes painting too confusing for a lot of people, especially beginners. So I would just say keep it simple, all right? You don't need expensive materials and expensive equipment for painting. What else have I got for you? Brushes. I use cheap brushes, okay? It may not come as a surprise to you, but I use very cheap brushes. I have some expensive ones, but I find the expensive brushes only last just as long as the cheaper brushes. Now, I don't use bristle, really. This is a bristle brush. Maybe if I'm doing a very big, kind of a quick sky, I might just grab a big bristle brush just to get it covered quickly. But for the most part, I like to use soft, synthetic, mixed brushes. See that? Nice and soft. That's another one. A big flat. That's getting quite hard now because this is a good while. I've done a lot of painting with this. I just prefer nice soft brushes, okay? Just regular cheap synthetic brushes. You could probably buy these for $2 each or something, or $3 or €3 each or something like that, sometimes less. But they're absolutely fine. They'd last me for months and months and months. I just like the soft feeling it gives. Some people prefer bristle brushes for that kind of brush strokey feel that you get. You can see the brush strokes and all that kind of thing. I prefer the soft, smooth brush stroke. So that's just what I use. Just simple, soft brushes, okay? Regular cheap brushes. Don't go crazy buying expensive brushes. A lot of people will think that, if you buy expensive brushes and expensive equipment, it'll make you a better artist. I don't agree, to be quite honest. I don't agree. Regular cheap equipment is absolutely fine, okay? Okay, a couple of cheap palette knives, okay? 2 different types, that's all you need. Don't go too fancy. Don't go too fancy, because I've often purchased very expensive equipment and only to find out that in 3 weeks later, the brushes were hard and they were worn down and I couldn't get the effect I wanted and all that kind of thing. So I just kind of keep it cheap. Keep it with cheap brushes. That's all you need. What else? What else? Oh yeah. Recording. I was gifted this beautiful Canon camcorder, okay? A couple of years back by a YouTube supporter, actually, when I was just kind of starting out. My videos weren't great quality way back then, so a YouTube follower, a good friend of mine, gifted me a camcorder. I never had one before. A Canon camcorder, HD. Absolutely fantastic for recording. The only problem with these is that they use so much storage space for videos. I have a little SD card in there. I think this one is 128 gigabytes or something like that. There are different settings on the camcorders. You can do basic HD, which is not very sharp. It's not very clear. I prefer to use the high quality HD function on the camcorder. The only problem is it uses so much storage. For a typical 40-minute tutorial on the camcorder, it would use maybe 25 gigabytes of space. That's a lot. That's a big file. And trying to convert that on my PC and edit it down, and by the time the video is edited, when the titles go on and all that kind of thing, you're talking the best part of 30 gigabytes almost. Now, uploading videos to YouTube is tricky, all right? If you upload a very large video, 20 gigabytes, first of all, it's going to take a heck of a long time to upload. It could take 6 hours for me to upload a video that size, okay, a file. Second of all, they convert it. So they will squeeze the video file down and you're not getting your quality. So it's kind of pointless really recording something in very high quality and then uploading it to YouTube, because it's kind of converted down to the next size down then. So you're only maybe getting 720p quality, which is not excellent. It's good, but it's not excellent. So either way, you're going to get caught, all right? You're going to lose quality. So what I've done, I bought myself a new phone. Now I still use this when I'm out and about for recording, and I still use it for intros and stuff like that because it's very good quality. I bought a good phone. This one that I'm recording on right now, it's a Samsung, a good quality phone. It has lots of cameras for photography and for video recording. So this quality here now, I think it's only like 720 or something like that, but it goes right up to 2K for tutorials. And the very same tutorial I record on my camcorder, I can do on my phone, which will only use about 2 gigabytes of space. So that's a big, big difference. Phone technology has come very, very far these past couple of years. So I use my phone, this one here, for recording my tutorials. It's very high quality. The colors are lovely. So yeah, a phone is absolutely fine. A good quality phone with a good camera is absolutely fine. I can't really afford to be buying very expensive camcorders, you know, the really good camcorders or bridge cameras or something like that. They're just too expensive. They're out of my range. So I just kind of keep to my phone. I think it's much easier. It transfers much faster over to my PC, and the quality is much better and the storage is much lower. So it's kind of a win-win all around for me. Okay, my lighting, I use a couple of fluorescent tubes, but they're LED fluorescents. I think there's one there which is just a regular warm bulb, and then I have two cool LED strip lights. You know what I mean? Fluorescent lights up overhead. So I have them up overhead facing at a slight angle on the canvas, because when I'm painting for a video, I don't want to be seeing shadows over my hands. So you can see that now, it's nice and bright. The shadows are going on the bottom down here, okay? So that means you can see what I'm doing with the brush nicely. So there's no shadows being cast over my hand and over the brush, if you understand what I mean. So lighting overhead, good quality lighting, is a big advantage. They're slightly cooler, because if you're using warmer bulbs, they make the saturation slightly richer in your video, and the colors on your canvas are coming out slightly warmer. So a cool daylight bulb, I find, works perfectly well. And they're just regular cheap fittings. You don't have to get expensive stuff. It's a false economy, really. Play around with some different spotlights in your studio, that kind of thing. Even lamps in the corner, just to add a bit of ambience to the room and create a warm place for you to paint. I think your surrounding is very important when painting. Before I had my studio here, now this is just a regular small timber shed basically, which I plasterboarded and painted and that kind of thing. But I was painting in a small box bedroom, a small tiny little bedroom, for the first 12 months when I started doing YouTube, my tutorials on YouTube. And it was just so claustrophobic, and there was no light. Everything was around, it was just a mess. And it was very difficult to walk into that room and get my head in a state for painting, to get that passion going. So since I've got the studio, it's like my own little space. I have everything I need. Everything has a place and a function. And when I walk in, I just feel the inspiration. When I look around at the artwork on the walls, I just feel the inspiration immediately. So it gets me really in the mood. So try and create, if you can. If you don't have a shed like this or anything, try and create a nice little corner in your home, in the corner of your living area, or a kitchen maybe, or a big bedroom or something. Try and create a nice little space where you can just zone away from everything else and focus on your painting. I think it really helps. It really does. It's what gets me going when I walk in. and I feel it when I walk in. I kind of, I'm excited for painting, so that's what I would say. Uh, there's really not much more I need to explain. I don't think. If I have missed something, I do apologize. I have a regular easel with this just big bit of plywood that I have on the back here against my table easel, and I just put my canvas and my palette up on that. That's really all. You can see an area behind me here. It's just full of bits and pieces, spray cans, paint, tissues. You can see little Bob Ross over there. I don't know if you can see him, just where my finger is. Rob gave me that. Rob Carroll, very good friend of mine from the States. He gave me that. Just lots of bits and pieces for painting and for my framing and all that kind of stuff. I have a painting here I want to show you, actually. This is not on YouTube, but I'm going to paint a tutorial of this on YouTube. Isn't that lovely? A little snow scene. That's a commission for someone, so I just need to frame that. This is painted now on MDF board, so it gives a beautiful, smooth feeling. And let's see if I can bring it into you now a little bit more. MDF board is fantastic for painting. So you can see it's just regular 1/2 inch MDF. I primed around the edges as well. I might do the back, just to keep it kind of a little bit watertight, because MDF is a medium density fiberboard. It soaks up moisture in time over the years if it's in a very damp place in a house. So I'll prime everything. But that's going to a customer. I think that's quite nice. I might do a video on this, a nice tutorial for you. It turned out quite well. The red umbrella, a splash of colour just in the middle, I think, sets it off, doesn't it? So I'm very proud of that. That's kind of it, really. You can see just paintings stacked up, lots and lots of paintings all over the place. So it's a nice place to be, So that's kind of it, really. I want to wish you a very, very happy Christmas and a happy New Year. I hope you have a lovely, lovely New Year, and I hope it brings you many wonderful new paintings and new experiences in life. And do try to just enjoy your painting. Don't take it too seriously. I find a lot of people, a lot of artists, when they take their painting too seriously, especially beginners, they just lose sight of what's important in the enjoyment of it. And I think if you try to just loosen your mind up a little bit and try to enjoy your painting, you'll get much better results. I find even myself sometimes, if I'm forcing it too much and I'm trying to get it too perfect and I'm trying to get it right every single time, it ends up worse, doesn't it? Sometimes. So I prefer to just let the natural painting just flow. If it's not perfect, it's not perfect. I'll do better the next time. So don't take it too seriously. Just try to enjoy it. It's about learning, and it's about learning different techniques, different colours. Try different colours. Don't be shy. I use a limited palette, maybe 6 or 7 colours for every painting. I have maybe 20 different colours on my box here next to me, which I may not have used for years. Colours I picked up along the way, just to try different colours on a painting, but then they're just sort of left there because I know my palette, I know what colours I like, I know what colours suit my painting, so I stick with that. If you have a certain colour scheme that works for your paintings, just keep to those. Add 1 or 2 extra if you want to try, but keep a certain selection of colours, I think, for every painting. And it'll help you learn to mix more and try different shades, different pinks, different yellows, different greens. By the way, I don't use greens from a tube. I always mix my greens because you get a much wider variety, and it just helps you learn more about different shades of greens. So I mix my own greens for every painting. That's it, my friends. I wanted to thank you so much for a wonderful year, for subscribing and supporting me and helping me to keep going, giving me all your wonderful, wonderful comments. I know sometimes I might not reply to some comments, but I read every single comment, and every single comment means everything to me, okay? Because there's so many there, sometimes it's just, you don't have the time to reply to everyone. But thank you sincerely for commenting. Thank you sincerely for watching. Thank you to my patrons. thank you so much to my patrons. You've been so kind and so generous to me the past year. I sincerely appreciate it. It's what helps me keep going. And you know, let's keep it going, and let's have some fun in the new year with some new paintings. I might get one up here in the next couple of days on YouTube, the next 2 or 3 days. Maybe that's no scene. Okay, so have fun, and I'll see you very, very soon again in the new year. Happy New Year to all, and thank you so much for your support over this past 12 months, and longer even for some of you, since the very, very beginning. Thank you so much. It's been a joy painting for you, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care, my friends, and God bless.